Hello everyone, welcome back to the SITREP. This is Defense Politics Asia and the SITREP for the trade war, to be more specifically. So I will make my face smaller because I'm not important. So this is the trade war page in case you still do not know this. This is the focus page for the coverage of the trade war, which you can find this on the link below, as you can see there, uh, defensepoliticsasia.com, DPA's website. So I the past 2-3 days, there's some more developments, but it's not as intense as the previous days, because the previous days there was this tit for tat tariff battle between United States and China. So it's not that bad right now, but there are still moves and developments. So the latest we have, the most significant of course is China's visit to Vietnam. So in which is the past 24 hours, the Chinese President Xi Jinping has visited Vietnam, and accordingly, over 40 cooperation agreements were signed. So I'll zoom down and show you the this part. So the over 40 cooperation agreements signed, focusing on trade, supply chain, infrastructure, and but the specifics of all these things is not exactly disclosed by the two sides. So general ideas was that there is supply chain deals to enhance production and supply chain resilience, particularly for electronics and manufacturing, to counter US tariff. There is a railway cooperation agreement to assess, not build, assess new railway projects. So it's basically just talk and see whether they can make new railways, and potentially funding and providing technology for Vietnam's rail network upgrades. So this is still generally just a very early stage agreements. Trade certification memorandum between the China Council for the Promotion of International Trade and the Vietnam Chamber of Commerce. Memorandums generally is quite pointless. It's not binding. So it's just a signing ceremony to show that they spoke to each other. Generally, that's what memorandums are. So it doesn't really do much. Like I've seen so many memorandums being signed in my lifetime by different organizations, by different countries, and they are almost always abundant. Right? Not all the time, not for everything, but often it's always abundant, because there's no commitment to it. Emerging sector pacts to expand collaboration in 5G, AI, green energy, and integrate Vietnam into China's tech ecosystem. I think the key point for this part will be to integrate Vietnam into China's tech ecosystem. I think everything else, these are all cutting edge stuff. Most of these, like green energy is still alright, but like AI, 5G, these are all important sectors for China, because this is the frontiers, and I don't think China is going to like share much, like per se. They are just going to ask Vietnam to use more of the Chinese ecosystem, and basically bring Vietnam into their sphere. So generally that's the main thing. I don't expect too much for that. And of course, this is the they have some year of Vietnam China. My bad. I paused the recording because I wanted to sneeze. So yeah, so plans for the year of Vietnam China humanistic exchange. So I think this visit is also particularly important because it was like X number of years of diplomatic relations and something like this. So so it sounds really good. Like the number noted, I think, was 45 cooperation agreements. However, a lot of this is just, of course, very macro. It's not very specific to the trade war, except for the supply chain thing. But there's not a lot. I personally think it's not gonna do a lot. Like the main thing between Vietnam and China is that there's Vietnam have a trade deficit against China. So they buy a lot of Chinese goods. Then all these, and that includes the Chinese goods that's actually heading to United States. So this number is very high because a lot of the goods comes into China, later it goes to United States, and this number actually matches each other. So if you remove most of the trade between Vietnam and China, it's basically almost the same amount as the trade balance between or trade imbalance between United States and Vietnam. It's very weird. Some observers say that this is a clear sign that this is just a routing of goods from China, relabeled as Vietnam, and then go to United States. I'm quite sure that's one thing. I'm not sure if that's everything. I don't think that's everything, but definitely it's going to be very difficult for Vietnam to balance all these things, because if you earn money from United States, then you just spend money on China. So like I said, it come back to the same old thing I said every single trade war SITREP. Which one do you prefer? Buying cheap goods or earning money? That is the problem for Vietnam to balance right now. So this visit is not seen very positively. In fact, it's seen very negatively by Donald Trump. Donald Trump have commented on this meeting during his meeting with the El Salvador's president Nayib Bukele. So in the Oval Office, a question and answer with the press, he said that I don't blame China, I don't blame Vietnam. I see their meeting today, and this is not really raised by the journalist. Like, is Trump literally raising it? He said, "Isn't that wonderful? That's a lovely meeting. Trying to figure out how do we screw the United States of America." So he literally is sending a message to Vietnam right now. It's definitely not China, because they are literally in a trade war with China right now. But it's a message to Vietnam. So this is definitely if I'm Vietnam, if I'm Vietnamese leaders, this is gonna send a chill down my spine. I just think so. So that's something. So that is the main of this is the biggest news, of course. China visit to Vietnam, 40 over agreements. There is no common statements coming from both sides talking about fighting United States in the trade war. Xi Jinping, of course, made multiple statements, all about fighting against unjust trade policies or whatnot, but Vietnam said nothing. So Vietnam basically just say that, we are all comrades, we will continue to build our relationship with our comrade, because they are both communist countries. So but that's the extent of Vietnam's official statement. So other things is, of course, during this presser with the El Salvador president, Donald Trump did reveal a lot more stuff. One of the important things is the aim to okay, let me scroll down a bit. Okay, the relief to the car companies. So Donald Trump said that they are looking to help the car companies because currently they are switching the parts. They previously bought the car automotive parts from Mexico, from Canada, and other places. So the companies needed time to move, change suppliers, or build their own supply chain in United States. So it's gonna take some time. So this is the foreshadowing of a possible further relief for car companies. The car companies already gotten preferential treatment through the USMCA, but like I did warn before, even the USMCA is under threat. Like the tariff, this entire agreement is going to be renegotiated. And the tariff might still hit eventually, even for USMCA products. So we shall see how this continues to play out. And Donald Trump also explained a bit on this, like all this criticism of him rolling back and whatnot. So he explained. I'm not sure if you can understand what he's trying to say. He said that I'm a very flexible person. But I don't change my mind. I'm flexible. So I wonder if you understand what is this supposed to mean. How can you be flexible and don't change your mind? So I just want to explain, this is also my understanding of Trump. Trump have a general idea, like a general objective. So the objective don't change. But along the way to the objective, he will change this. He will maneuver left and right so that they can get there safely. If you understand what I mean. So, for example, the idea is to tariff the whole world and make agreements with the entire world, every single country, to ensure that there is actually proper free trade. And he also want to ensure that national security issues in all the important trades like manufacturing, pharmaceutical, relating to AI, relating to semiconductors have to be done in United States. Because he's MAGA, right? He's Make America Great Again. So that have to be adhered to. But to get there, he will do a lot of things. Sometimes you have to use a stick, sometimes use a carrot, and eventually you reach the final endpoint. And like I say, one of the final endpoint for me, my opinion, is that he wants to cut trade with China entirely, because that's probably the only way he can actually control China. So this is what he's trying to say. So he's flexible, but the mind don't change. So eventually he will still wants to get what he wants. So which means that everything that we are seeing right now, all this different, the tariffing and then the pullback of tariff, all this is still likely to be altered. And which is why the relief to the 10% for all the tariffing from all the countries except China to 10%, that is only for 90 days, because that is only to be flexible, to facilitate negotiation. But then this probably still going to come back. And this is clearly shown in what they are doing right now in regards to semiconductors and pharmaceuticals. So this is a keystone development. This is a very big development. So the US are now probing the imports of pharmaceutical and semiconductors. This is filed under the Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act of 1962. Basically, this is they are now probing into the imports of pharmaceutical and semiconductors, and basically seeing this as a national security threat. So they will likely impose tariff on both sectors, and or whatever. Basically they are studying the situation in terms of the reliance of foreign productions for medical and chips. So because this is now seen as a national security threat, according to the further information, the filing is actually done on April the 1st. So this law that was used is an existing law. So 1962 law, and they have already used this provision for other stuff like copper and lumber. And that was during the first term. So this is not new to Donald Trump. This is actually done before. Donald Trump have used it before, and now and this is also the basis for the 25% tariff on steel and aluminum and the auto industry. So now they're going to study more in regards to semiconductors, computing, like the mobile phones, and pharmaceutical, which is a massive thing. Everybody is talking about it. They are telling me about it. They are arguing back. China is going to win because of this exact situation where almost all the antibiotics is made in China. So this is part of the study. This probe must complete within 270 days from initiation. So around 3 quarters. So this is will be ongoing. It will not take 270 days. It's supposed to be done within. So let's see how this continue to play out. If I have news, I'll tell you guys. And so this links with the foreshadowing of the coming back of tariff on semiconductors. So according to Howard Lutnick, which is the Secretary of Commerce for the United States of America, he told ABC News, sorry for the lag, I'm not sure why is this so laggy. So he said that all these products that come under the semiconductors is going to get their own special focus tariff. So this is to ensure that the products get reshored. So they need to have semiconductors They need to have chip, have flat panels, and they need these to be made in United States, in America. They cannot be reliant on Southeast Asia for all the things that operates for them. So they say that these are exempted from the reciprocal tariff, but they are included in the semiconductor tariff, which is coming probably in a month or two. So these are coming soon. So this is already the foreshadowing of the tariff that is to come, which is a warning for all the companies that is importing or dealing with the semiconductor industry that they need to speed up. So a month or two, this is relating to the to this probe. This 232 probe regarding this pharmaceutical and semiconductors, and we still haven't hear anything specific about the pharmaceutical yet. So I think this pharmaceutical one is a bit more scary because you need it for healthcare, right? So this will affect the citizens literally on the ground level. So we shall see how this goes. The tariff on pharmaceutical, I don't think it's relief. I never seen anything about no pharmaceuticals getting any form of relief. So medicine, basic medicines might get more expensive in United States for now. But I believe pharmaceutical production should be quite easy to move. I believe. But I might be wrong. No, I don't know enough in terms of that. I haven't studied yet. So once I study it, I'll let you know. But tentatively, from my imagination, it should be easier. It should be easier to port the pharmaceuticals over. But I might be wrong. So so this on top of that, let me see what else. Okay, so one of the developments, this is not a very keystone one, not a big one, because this is not particularly unique on its own. There's a lot of foreign direct investment or investment announced in United States, but this is one of the big ones over the past few days, and this is also announced by NVIDIA previously as well during their big show, showing that robot that able to walk on 2 feet and then behave in a very lifelike, almost like a cartoon, like a 3D cartoon kind of animation, but in real life. That is very fascinating. So the chip that powers that robot is actually this new Blackwell chips, and so they are NVIDIA have announced that they will be commissioning a 1 million square feet manufacturing place to build and test the advanced Blackwell chips in Arizona, as well as AI supercomputers in Texas. So these chips are already in production right now. It's produced in Phoenix in the TSMC's chip plant in Phoenix. So they are going to build 2 more in Texas. One with Foxconn in Houston and another one with Wistron in Dallas. So they are going to expect mass production to ramp up on both plants in the next year and a half. So this is great news for United States. And from my understanding, this chip will only be built exclusively in United States. If I'm not wrong, it's only exclusively in United States because it's the most advanced chip out there, which is going to able to power robotics in a way that is never done before. So this is very, very interesting. So and it's also interesting to see that they have basically diversified as well. NVIDIA, TSMC, Foxconn, Wistron, like they basically dealing with 3 different chips producers, so they don't put all their eggs in one basket. Probably all have different costs, but that's what you need to do anyway. So what else do we have? So just now we talked about the agreements with Vietnam and China. There is some rumors regarding the Vietnam and United States negotiation. So the negotiation actually started pretty immediately. Vietnam was very proactive, immediately contacted the United States and tried to organize a negotiation. So some of the things that was rumored or understood to be already true. So the aim for Vietnam is to remove as many non-tariff barriers as possible, basically on both sides. So this is the Deputy Prime Minister meeting with the trade representative of the United States, Jamison Gray. So the initial hopes is to reduce the import tax to 22 to 28%, if not lower. Tentatively, they're getting 10%, because of the waiver for 90 days, but they are still negotiating. So this is currently the rumor. And in Vietnam, within internally, they have already announced, or they actually, I'm not sure if they do per se, but they announced to the world that they are tightening controls. They have asked these officials to, within 2 weeks, devise a plan to clamp down on illicit transshipment. So illicit transshipment is to basically send goods to one country without doing anything much to the country, to the goods. Like, there's no added value. Maybe you just change the label, or change the sticker of where the goods come from, and then export to a third country. So this is what I said. China is doing a lot with Vietnam. Basically, they export the goods to Vietnam, immediately export it to United States. This is transshipment. So Vietnam has ordered that they want to they're going to clamp down on these activities. They ask its official to look into it, and the deadline might be extended because they want to be careful about not provoking China. This is largely still rumor, because even if they announced it, they may not actually do it. So I just want to highlight that it's not necessarily that they will do it. Like, not every announcement means that the country will do it. So we always have to take a pinch of salt. So just I know, even the United States is the same. Trump says something, you have to look through the words. You cannot just take it very specific, like very directly, on the surface. You have to look through what he's actually meaning. So on top of that, they have also said that in the official portal, they said that they'll crack down on trade frauds, but they never really say much about it. Might be referring to the transshipment thing. And also, one of this is the more confirmed ones, which is the 2 Vietnamese airlines are planning to work more with the United States. Vietjet has signed a $300 million deal with Air Finance to basically to get money and to finance the purchase of new planes from Boeing. So, and Vietnam Airlines has also signed a deal with Citibank, more than $500 billion, which is to so-called strengthen airline operational capacity and expanding its international route networks, which also is a long way to say buy new planes. So most likely, of course, also going to be Boeing planes. And the aim for this is actually, according to the rumors, is to reduce the trade balance. To buy planes, because planes are expensive, it helps to reduce the trade balance. Rather the trade imbalance, to reduce the trade imbalance. So this is part of the plan that they're doing. So this is ongoing. China's when Xi Jinping visited Vietnam, one of the things that they are trying to do was to sign or get the Vietnamese to buy or to approve China planes. And the Vietnamese over the years have been dragging its feet on it. They have rented at least 2 planes from China, but it's only used internally because the planes cannot fly to other countries. So for international flight, the planes must be approved in the host country. So if the host country do not approve the planes, then the planes cannot actually be fly there. So the Chinese is trying to break through this. They're trying to also to get this kind of approvals so that the Chinese made planes can actually fly to other countries. They're trying to pressure Vietnam into it, so that Vietnam don't buy Boeing but actually buy China planes. But this is unlikely it's going to be successful. It's going to likely fail. Ultimately, we have to remember, or maybe you don't remember, maybe because you don't believe in it or you don't agree with it. Vietnam ultimately, as much as they are partner with China because they're just next to China, China is considered a potential threat, or basically a literal threat to Vietnam strategically. It's not just in trade but also in terms of war. Militarily, Vietnam is aligned with Russia, and they have pretty close relationship with Russia. I think they've also bought Indian anti-ship missiles. So the Vietnam is very, very afraid of China, generally speaking, and they have a massive dispute over South China Sea claims. So they have massive overlapping. In fact, Vietnam's overlap in the South China Sea claims with China is the biggest among all the Southeast Asian country with China. So, and they literally have soldiers died trying to secure trying to protect some of the islands from the Chinese, which the Chinese have militarily taken over. So there is history behind it. So as much as it looks on the surface, particularly if you look at Chinese media or pro-Chinese media, they will make it look like a big win for Xi Jinping's visit to Vietnam. But like I said, in terms of substance, I don't think there's much there. I don't think it's much there. You may think that this is anti-China, but I'm telling you that's the fact. So because if China really have such a strong position, more countries will have sided with China without China doing anything. They will have already sided with China. They will have already said that they're going to form an alliance to counter China, United States threat on the tariff. Nothing of such happened. So China is still pretty much all alone despite this meeting for now. So no, the things can change, Don't be so caught up by you say something that it must be true forever. That it's not always true forever. But for now, based on the developments, yeah, China is still alone. What else do we have? Let me scroll through because sometimes I also forget because I planted so many things into the chart. Nothing much else. I think I covered pretty much more or less the main developments over the past 2 days or 3 days, 2 to 3 days, around 2 to 3 days. So 14, 11 was the last one. So around 2-3 days. So this is the latest development in the last 2-3 days. Oh yeah, one more. There's this is the last one. There is confirmation of the rare earth restrictions. So there's confirmation, this news over the breaking news over the past 24 hours that China will not export 7 of the heavy rare earth metal that is processed exclusively in China, as well as heavy rare earth metals, which is 90% of the world's supply, which is also synthesized in the Beijing's territory. So, and this is most likely probably part of the April 3rd or 4th export restriction announcement, because this rare metal or rare earth export restriction was already announced on the 3rd or the 4th, depending on where you are on Earth. The restriction was already announced, but it's only the past 24 hours as confirmation. And what's the more shocking but not shocking news is that the export restriction applies to all countries. All the countries will not be able to buy, and access to this dysprosium as well as yttrium, which was critical to US industry, is limited. So this is a very important news. And why is it export restricted to all countries? It's the same thing as why United States tariffed the whole world. It's the same thing. Because if you don't do that, then companies will just go around a third country to export to wherever you need to go. So, for example, if United States only tariff if China only tariff or restrict this export to United States, it could easily go to Vietnam and then go to United States, and that defeats the whole purpose of the export restriction. Similarly, Donald Trump tariffed the whole world. Is the same thing, particularly which is particularly high on Vietnam, high on some of the other countries like Malaysia, Cambodia. It's the same thing because the goods are going from China to these countries, then go to United States. So which is why once you have this trade war, this is what happens. In order to really kill off each other, they have to attack everybody. So this is definitely going to be a concern for Europe, because Europe is trying to develop their own EV industry, and this is definitely not going to be okay with the Europeans. So let's see how this goes. The important thing to note about this is that don't just look at what it is now and the past 1-2 years. You have to look into the future of what the different sides, the different players is going to do. Just like the sanctions on China from access to the cutting edge semiconductors, the latest chips from TSMC, which limits China's ability to make mobile phones. At least the latest mobile phones like Huawei, all these things, they struggle to find the chips. But eventually, China will slowly catches up. It's probably still not the most cutting edge chip, but it's good enough for general mobile use. So all these no sanctions or no total restrictions or total cutting off of certain goods doesn't entirely work. It only works for the short term. So China doing this is only forcing every country to, or at least most of the big players in the country or big players in the world, to develop their own processing capability of the rare earth. Rare earth on its own is not entirely that rare. No, even in the United States, there is actually rare earth deposits. The main problem is processing. I think 80-90% of the processing of rare earth is actually in China. So which is why China has such a monopoly. But this kind of thing China do, yes, it damages or attacks the targeted country or the entire world. But eventually what it does is it trains the attacked country to develop their own capabilities. And then eventually this blackmail or this threat will no longer work. This actually happened before this. If I didn't remember wrongly, China actually they restricted export of rare earth to Japan, I believe, if I didn't remember wrongly, and that didn't go well at all. So this is not like something that never happened before. So this is all of the situation in the trade war for the past 2-3 days. So I will continue to keep up with the trade war updates. So let me know what you think in the comments. So thank you for watching. Press the like button, subscribe. So yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys in the next update.